On this episode of Game Shack, Arcade1up has just announced the pricing of their brand new Gen II legacy cabs, so I'm going to ask, how much is nostalgia worth to you? Is it worth $500 a pop? Coming up next. Hey everybody, welcome on back into the Game Shack. I'm your host JDV for Evil Genius Entertainment. If you haven't already checked out our new series Reanimated, well I guess it's not new now, but we have a new episode up. So if you haven't checked it out and you like zombie stuff, go ahead and please, give it a look-see. Alright, yesterday as I record this, Arcade1up has announced the pricing of their brand new legacy cabs, particularly the Namco Pac-Man cab and the Mortal Kombat cab, and they're going to be going for $500. Now some people were speculating that they could be for $600 or $700, and I guess for people who are willing to pay that kind of money, this is a breath of relief. But for most of us, this is yet another price increase for a product that was essentially $300 just a couple of years ago. Making matters a little bit more odd is that many of these games are already available on their competitors, particularly on AtGames' ALU, which has many of the same games that the Atari cab has on there, and that cab is still going for as low as $600, if you can believe that, and you get 300 games with it. So when you're looking at spending $2,000 on all four legacy cabs, the value proposition really starts to come into question, particularly in these trying economic times. But of course, Arcade1up doesn't just sell play value, they sell the experience of the arcade, they sell the nostalgia, hey, look at that, the lit marquee and everything else like that. But that said, part of real nostalgia is having a real size machine. These machines are all still the same 17-inch screens, and they're still the same 48-inch tall form factor. So it's kind of odd to me that they would raise the price of this essentially just because they've added maybe a $5 Wi-Fi capacity chip to this, and to increase the price of these things by some $100 for just that ability does seem a bit like price gouging, even when you factor inflation and the cost of shipping. But it really is the fact that they kept that same form factor that is really odd. I also just did an episode asking, when are they going to give us 20 separate different kind of games on these machines? Again, I think if they had given us a larger form factor, or given us a wider controller deck, or given us more games, then I think this $500 is a lot more justifiable. Now, Arcade1up defenders are going to be able to rightly say yes, but there is some R&D and infrastructure cost to having their live capabilities, to being able to have these leaderboards, the R&D that goes into being able to play somebody on Mortal Kombat 3 online is a cool, very cool new feature, and it does cost money. Yes, it does, but is it enough to get existing owners of the Mortal Kombat cab or the many, many different varieties of the 12-in-1 Pac-Man cab to drop out of that and to buy these? Well, I guess time is going to tell. For me, I really do want the Pac-Man cab, even though I wish it had the original Pac-Man art and not the Super Pac-Man. Still, it is something that I did sell my Pac-Man cab to get my Gen 1 legacy cab to get this cab, but now at $500, I'm going to find that a much tougher bargain. Now, I do suppose it does matter on what kind of cab you're going to get. When you look at the Atari cab and the Namco Pac-Man cab, those are cabs that you're not going to really be able to play anybody else in. You essentially are getting Wi-Fi just for firmware, which we'll never see, and the ability to post your scores online. I suppose it really does matter on whether or not you're looking at that new Mortal Kombat cab, or if you're looking at the Gen 2 Atari Centipede cab and the Namco/Pac-Man cab. Because the Namco and Atari cabs are essentially all exactly the same, except you get 2 more games and you get to post your scores online. So that's not really a big improvement. Rolling Thunder is a cool game, of course, but because it's on that vertical screen, you do kind of diminish the play value of that a bit. But of course, it's the Mortal Kombat cab that I think most people are really truly interested in, like in terms of excitement levels, because this will be the first time that you can play Mortal Kombat live online against somebody else somewhere else in the country, and that is a huge ability. So it is kind of weird, to me at least, that these cabs are all going to be $500 when, let's be real, that Atari/Centipede cab and the new Super Pac-Man cab is not offering you $100 more in value, or $75 or even $50 more in value. The ability to put your high scores online is a cool thing, but realistically, it's at best a $20 kind of increase over the already increased price that we saw in the Gen 1 cabs. So I do think that they will probably move a lot of these new Mortal Kombat cabs because there is such a huge interest in that and such a huge number of players that play Mortal Kombat and want to get into the game. But that feels like price gouging to me, charging $500, and it definitely seems like price gouging to charge $500 for the Atari and Pac-Man cabs. Now, how do you feel if you're a class of 81? You're still paying $600 for Miss Pac-Man versus $5 for this Pac-Man. The pricing is just a little weird to me personally, but I guess time will tell. All right, if you like this episode, please give me a thumbs up on the way out the door. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit that notification bell. Love each other, and until next time, I'll see you guys in the Game Shack. Mwah! Be sure to visit evilgeniusentertainment.com for exclusive content, swag, casting call news, and much, much more.